Hey, everybody, welcome. Welcome to our bonus session called Ask the Virtual Assistant. And I am here with three fabulous virtual assistants who are coming in today to answer your questions. So we've got Cindy and Tammy and Jenny. And I'm so grateful that they're here because I really want to share their point of view. So it looks like we're having a little trouble on LinkedIn. So I'm just going to change that. So sometimes StreamYard has a little bit of a hiccup. Okay, good. So, I want you to really hear from them. What were they thinking about when they decided to take the leap? What is it like being a virtual assistant? What is your day like? All of the things that you're wondering about and feeling like maybe you'll never have an answer. And so that's why I brought them here because I want you to be able to see their unique point of view, their journey, and they're all in different places, very different places, both physically and on their business journey. So I'd love to hear from each one of you. What made you decide to be a virtual assistant? What was it that you thought this could be for me? You want to jump in first, Cindy, and then we'll just go around the dial.
Sure. Everyone knows I like to be first.
That's true.
All right. What made me want to be a virtual assistant?
Yeah, what made you think this could be you, and how did you see yourself fitting into it?
So before I was a virtual assistant, I was working in a deli and then I hurt my arm. So I was just out and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I thought there has to be some kind of a remote job that I can get. And you just have to be so careful. There's so many scams out there, or they pay like minimum wage. And I thought, I have kids to provide for, so there has to be something else. I thought I was going to get into building my own business. I just didn't know where to start. And then I found Belinda. So
And what happened? So you came across me, and then what was the journey? Like what was the thought process, I guess, that made you take the leap?
um I had joined a few Facebook groups. I had been looking into maybe learning bookkeeping or, trying to find some sort of skill. I looked into becoming a proofreader, things that I already knew how to do. And then it must have just been all the Googling and all the searching that I came across the VA connection. And I went to the Kickstart challenge and I thought, you know what? This actually sounds practical. I don't have to learn anything new. I know how to do this stuff, and you can actually make a business out of this. It's so easy, I thought maybe it's too good to be true, but by the time I was done with the Kickstart challenge, I thought, you know what? I think I can do this, and I think she can help me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Tammy, tell us about what happened with you because you had a business already, right? A pet sitting business.
Yeah, I had done several businesses. Pet sitting business. I had a cleaning business for several years, and then I went on the road with my husband, and I actually worked as his boss's virtual assistant. Which at the time I had no idea about the world of VAs out there, so it was like a dream come true for me. But my husband and I lost our job on the same day, and so we came back to Stuart, Florida, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And I tried the pet sitting again, and it just was falling flat. And I started doing research, and again, I stumbled across you, Belinda, and the VA connection. And I thought, okay, I was already doing this for one person. I could do this for myself. So yeah, it didn't take long. I think the first day I was terrified because I had to ask my husband, and I knew I have done so many things. And I was like, okay, here's Tammy coming and doing another thing. So, but it was great because he said he was hesitant, but he was like, if you really believe in this and you think it can work, let's do it. So yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome to jump in.
That is,
And
yeah, that's great. And what was the thing about it, like about being a virtual assistant that you thought this is cool? I know, like for me, I really like admin work, but what was it for you? Was it the confidence of doing it for one person already, or what was it?
oh, for years I had wanted to find way to work from home that was location independent. I love to travel and I love flexibility. I don't want the 9 to 5 schedule. I've never been a 9 to 5 girl. And I want to be able to put my family or things that are important to me first when I need to. So that was really when I realized that I could take the skills that I've already, like Cindy said, all the skills I already had, and I could help a lot of different people and have the variety. Because that was the other thing. The reason I tried so many things is I would get bored. I would do this thing and I would master it, and then I would get bored. And then I'd want something new. And so being a VA is constant challenges, constantly new things to learn if you want to. You don't have to, but if you want to, there's as much challenge as you can handle. So that's what really drew me in.
That's a great point, and I love that because I know a lot of the people listening, they do get bored and they want to try new things, and they feel like, because like when you have a job and you show up every day and you're there for 4 years, you could do it asleep. And for some of us who are lifelong learners, we want to be challenged. We want new information, new things. So that is true. It does. If you want to lean into learning new things, you definitely can. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's a really good point. Yeah. So Jenny, what about you? What made you, because you have a couple of kids at home, right? How many kids do you have?
Mm-hmm. I have 2.
2, yeah.
I have 2 little babies. Well, they're not so little anymore, but when the pandemic hit and I had a 3-year-old and she would be 6-year-old, and the whole world shut down, as most of us know, and they had to go to school online, and I was teaching high school at the time. So it was really not anything I did. It was more the universe just kind of put me on this path. And I taught from home, and with the 2 kids, by October of the next school year, my kids were running the house because me and my husband were working full time. So I left teaching so that I could focus on them and focus on their school. And then a couple of years later, last December, a friend of mine mentioned becoming a virtual assistant. And I was like, I've done this before, like not virtually, but I've done this in helping run a office for a paint company. I've done this through office admin for a grocery store, and I've done this in my classroom. So it was like, this might be perfect for me. And I found some lady, or I didn't find her, my friend found her and said, hey, check this out. And it was $5 a month, and it got me kind of started, but it was not the niche. It's not really a niche, but it wasn't admin, it was tech. And so I found my first client, and then I found you in my inbox, and then it just kind of has all blossomed from there.
That's awesome. Wow, that's great. That's great. So what about the VA lifestyle works for you? Like, what is the thing you're like, oh, I love this so much?
I can move. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. If I don't want to work a day, I don't have to work a day. If I need to work 10 hours a day, I can work 10 hours in a day. When my kids have a school thing, I don't have to worry about asking off. I can just go. That freedom is just, it definitely kept me out of the classroom, because I tried to go back to the classroom before I started VA. I substituted just to get my feet wet again. And just the needing to be there and having to wait to go to the bathroom and things like that. It was just like, I don't want to live that life anymore.
That's so interesting. We take that for granted, right? The waiting to go to the bathroom. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. What about you, Tammy?
Yeah, I'd have to be after having your own business and then after being on the road and being able to work whenever and go to see family if something happened. I felt trapped, and I was like, if I had to have a job where I had to go every day and be tied to their schedule, I couldn't do it again.
Yeah. And I also think about, like, when you have a job, people are watching you work.
Yes.
Right? No one's watching us anymore. Not that we
Right.
don't, there's not anything to hide, but it's just like, there's just a level of movement, that we have that you don't have when you have a job. You go for lunch and you take too long and somebody's clocking you.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cindy, tell us your thoughts on this.
So some of the same things, I like being able to, go take the car to get the oil change if I need to. I'm also here when my kids get home from school, so I'm available for homework, helping with homework. I actually had a remote job before I got the job at the deli, and I was homeschooling at that time, and that was really hard. But the thing is, when you're working for somebody like that, the kids really have to take a back seat, and you have to be like, I can't. And with this, I can just, if I need to take 10 minutes because someone's here and they're sick, it's fine. Nothing's gonna stop working without me. Also, like you said, Belinda, about people watching you work, you when you have your own business like this, you don't have to take on the tasks that you hate. And so, you know how you have those tasks and you're like, oh my gosh, if I have to do this for one more minute, and then you're like, oh, somebody's watching me, I better get back to it. I just don't have to do that. And so if I am working on something that starts to get a little irritating, I say, okay, we're going to stop the clock on that one. We'll put that aside, and I'm going to work on this task, and we'll come back to that later. So it's very freeing. And I like knowing that what I do is for myself. I mean, I work with my clients, but they're not standing over top of me and watching to make sure I do everything to their specifications.
Right. That's a great point. So Deb has a question, and I didn't say this. So by the way, everybody that's watching, and I see you watching from all over the place, which is fabulous. Put your questions in the chat. We definitely want to answer your questions, so be sure to do that. So let's move to Deb's question, and it's a great one. What parts of VA school did you guys find the most helpful?
Study hall.
There's so much.
All right, Cindy, why don't you go first and then we'll go around. So you said study hall.
Study hall is, like all the information that you get when you first look at the whole course, you're like, whoa, this is so much. And when you get into study hall, everything can be broken down. It doesn't matter how small your question is. Everything gets answered. You can walk through things at your own pace, but then also things come up that, are not necessarily covered in the course because it's completely, individualized to each person and each client. And when you run into a snag on something, if Belinda can't answer it, there's a bunch of other people there we can all put in together, and then you wind up making friends. Like it's weird to think that you're making friends virtually, but I think my VA friends are probably some of the best friends I have.
That surprised me a lot. I remember the first VA school that we had, people started becoming friends, and I thought, well, that's kind of weird. Like, how does that work? And then the second time we offered it, so that was June 2021. Then we offered it in October, and I was like, wow, they're talking to each other offline? Like, this is crazy. And then by January, when we offered it again in 2022, I said, so you're just going to make friends, okay? Just so you know, this is going to be your community, and you're going to support each other. And then now, like, Cindy wasn't able to come this year, but she's coming next year. We just had the conference, and Jenny and Tammy and I all met each other, in real life, which was really, really fun. And didn't it feel like we already knew each other? Yeah. Like, it was instant hugs. There was no like, oh, hi, it was like, come here, Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So Jenny, why don't you jump in, and then we'll come over to Tammy.
I mean, I could mirror everything that Cindy just said. And like, I do a co-working session with someone in VA school every week now, where we just hang out on Zoom and we work. And, if we have questions, we ask each other. The study halls, again, they're great. The reference material that's available, being able to go back when you have questions back to the videos, or, Belinda's ability to, like, she'll set it up where if you ask a question, she'll time it and tell you about it if you can't make school, so it's very much designed around us. It's not designed around Belinda, which is not similar to the courses that I've taken before, that she really does make it exactly what she says. Like, we became friends. We become like me and Tammy were on the other week. I don't know how well that came out, but we worked together and tried to help each other out on something. And it's just like, you have a network of people that are 100% behind you to support you in any way possible that you can think of, from helping you design a business card to coming up with your VA school name or your VA business name. Like, we're all in it together, and it makes it just that much better.
Cool. Tammy, jump on in.
Yeah, I would hear what they both said. And also, it was the fact that there was no competition in the community. We all just help each other because there is plenty of work to go around. It sounds so crazy. I've never been part of a community where we're all doing this each other on. The other thing that was amazing was having the different levels, different people at different levels, because you get to see, I mean, sometimes it can be, you can look at people and you can try to compare yourself, but when you really understand, okay, that person's been there 6 months, that's where I'm going. And those people will be willing to sit and meet with you on Zoom and talk with you and give you advice. It's like when we went to this conference, and it was like, oh, we're meeting all these superheroes that we saw. So it was just like, but it's true. It's like everybody was there to help each other, and just being able to go back and watch the videos when I had the time, like, if my schedule didn't permit, I could go back and watch any of the lives. I really wanted to be there in person, but when you missed it, you still got to be connected. So yeah, it was amazing. There's so much, so much I could say about it.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And if Deb, if you have follow-up questions, and anybody else, if you have questions, please put them in the chat, because this is your time, right? This is your time. So, we didn't talk about this before, but it occurs to me that some people in the audience listening to us and watching the replay are wondering, can you actually make money doing this? Because I know that, and this has come out several times in study hall, students have said to me, well, I'm not like you, this is good. And they compare themselves to me, which is a bad idea since I've been doing it for 13 years, right? And everybody else is just starting out. And so I would love to hear your thoughts on your ability to make money doing this and support yourself. Who wants to go first?
I'll go. That was one of my concerns, and because I did a lot of research beforehand, I saw a lot of VAs that were not getting paid next to nothing. And I've even had, in the very beginning when I started networking, people would say, well, what separates you from somebody from the Philippines? And they were acting as if, because we're here and we need to make a certain amount of income, we wouldn't be able to charge that. But the fact is, we're all this large community, and because we have that community behind us, that was points that I talk to people about when I'm, they'll come to me. I don't usually have people quibble over the price, but that was the thing. I'm sorry, I'm talking in circles a little bit, but
that's okay. This is good.
One of the things that you gave us was the confidence to know that we could charge those prices, and we didn't have to. We could #stop talking after we said it, because we didn't have to justify it. We didn't have to explain why we were better than this person or that person. Now, I've been doing this, I would say, seriously since I started school back in November of last year, so it's been a year, and I was working a part-time job alongside it. And I would say in March was when I really started hitting things and I got my first client. And then when I was able to leave my job, I got 3 clients. Boom. I mean, the next 2 weeks I had 3 clients. So, and I have, a lot of work going on right now. So I don't have a lot. It's been about a month. I don't have a long history that I can give you specifics, but I'm making really good money and my clients are really happy. So I replaced my income at my job within 2 weeks.
Way to go. That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's
Cindy, how about you?
Coming into it, I had no idea what I could charge. And, I was making a pittance at the other jobs that I had. And I thought there's got to be something better than this. I have to find something that makes more money. And what I found was I just kind of picked a number out of the hat and I threw it out there to see if it would work. And it worked. And I did notice that the people who want to pay those very small amounts don't want the same kind of work that you'll find when you charge higher rates. When you charge higher rates, you're going to wind up with someone who actually respects your time, respects your skills, and they need your help. And I've actually had one client raise my rate, and she said, I'm not asking, you're worth more than this, and I'm paying you more. And then I had another potential client look at my website and say, you need to raise your rates. So, I mean, I thought it was a huge number to start out with. And apparently the kind of clients that are coming to me, it's not enough.
So if you guys, I don't want to put you on the spot because I didn't tell you that I was going to ask this, but if you're comfortable telling what your hourly rate is for new clients coming in, I would love to hear.
Mine's $40 an hour.
Mine's $50 an hour for the 10-hour chunk and chunk.
Yep. And mine is 40 for 10 hours.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of runway. These ladies can definitely raise their rates. And I didn't realize that you guys are working at $40 an hour. I think you need to raise it to 50, like right
$50,
now.
yeah. I'm still practicing on saying it out loud.
yeah. Well, that's part of it. But yeah, I've seen you guys in action, and I mean, I can tell just sitting here talking to you, that you have great skills that you're learning, as you go. So yeah, I would definitely do that. So if someone's sitting, listening to us and thinking they have to charge $20 an hour, not only do you not have to charge $20 an hour, I don't want you to do that. You can start making money right away, and good money. Yeah. So, all right. So Jenny, you didn't go yet, did you, on this question?
I've been working since December. So I started my company in December, and then I met Belinda in March, and I have picked up 5 clients since I joined VA school. I had one before, so I have 7 clients. So I had one before and 6 since VA school started. Mm-hmm. And I would say, I don't know that I've met, I had 0 income, so anything is better than 0. But my long-term goal is to retire my husband, and knowing and listening to Belinda, and it's not just listening, it's seeing, and it's seeing the changes in myself that I know that that's doable. Without a doubt, like the systems that she has in place, every time that I get out of my own way and just say, go do it, it ends up the way she says it, which is put the newsletter out, tell everybody, get more clients, be confident, and it happens. So it's like, I make enough for myself, and I'm happy with what I make. And I have goals, and by the end of, and I have it up on my wall so that it's right there for me, to increase billable hours in a certain way before December. And I'm on my way to meeting that goal. So.
That's great. Really great. So, so Deb has another question. So the question is, did you have a favorite component outside of the great access to Belinda and the community? Like, oh, so the question is, so besides hanging out with me and the modules, what was your favorite in terms of the Done For You email newsletter or the templates or the debit card system?
It's a tie between the Done For You newsletter and the debit card, because the debit card is, I have one client that I still invoice, and I can't imagine if I having 6 clients that I needed to invoice. The Done For You, the debit card system is revolutionary for me. And then the newsletter, I've been putting out my own now, and it's helped me to gain confidence that I'm capable of doing these things. And so between those two would be my favorite.
Who else?
Well, I'd have to say, I have a hard time picking a favorite because I love learning it all. Having the newsletters to start out was big for me, because one of my fears was I wasn't going to be able to. I had done blogging, and my consistency was an issue for me. And so having that newsletter already ready, it's ready for you, it took that pressure off, and I was able, I set a goal that every 2 weeks I was going to publish my newsletter, and I just published today my 24th volume. So every 2 weeks, yeah, I'm like so excited about that, because it's like I've done it. Like, if I saved some of Belinda's, so that if I get into a really big bind, I can, I have something that's there that's well written that I can put out there. But I've been publishing most of my own, most of the last 12 months. So yeah, that was awesome.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. So, so Cindy, what about you? I can see why you guys are like, well, I don't know, because it's kind of like the reason you have all 3 of them. They're like a stool, right? And they they help you. And yeah. So, do you want to weigh in on that, Cindy?
Sure. I think I would agree with everyone else. It's really hard to pick one. But I think that the main part of it is that the systems that are set in place are tested and tried, and all you have to do is go through and follow all the steps, and it absolutely works. And that way it took so much pressure off, because I didn't have to think about what thing I should use, what system or program or anything that I should use, or how to put it in place so that it'll work. It was already done. And all I had to do was, watch the video, pause it, go do it, watch some more video, and it was simple, and it works.
That's because I have all the bruises all over my body.
Yes.
I'm the one that screwed it all up and figured it out. So that's really great to hear, because that was the intention. Like, that was really my intention. Like, let's just do it. So, so we have some questions here. So Lisa is asking, where do you ladies mainly get your clients? Emails, Facebook groups, referrals, other ways?
Newsletter.
My clients
Go ahead,
came from my
Tammy.
newsletter. I'm sorry.
No, you go.
It was a combination. When I learned to talk to the people I know and get their emails and keep publishing that newsletter, that's what brought me the clients, because they were reading. I didn't have to talk a lot. I just had to mention what I was doing, and then they could read about it, and it kept popping up in their inbox. And they started realizing things that I could do for them. That's how it all happened for me.
What about you, Jenny?
My first client came from telling somebody about it. Was just talking about the business. 3 of my clients came from my newsletter, and then 3 of my clients came from networking.
What about you, Cindy?
My clients all came from, I met one in a networking event that I was just dropping in, just visiting. And one person that I was already connected to, and I was talking about starting this, and that person became my client, who then referred me to a couple of other clients. So
Mhm.
just talking about it, and you wind up with referrals.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, so for anybody who's on watching either live or the replay, I'm just going to make a statement and you guys shake your head yes or no if you agree. You don't need, I didn't know what Fiverr was. Okay. You don't need Fiverr. You don't need Facebook group. You don't need to be cold calling on LinkedIn. You don't need a niche, all of that stuff that you hear on the internet. You just don't need to do that. It's much simpler, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's no competition because there's just one you, and there's just one you that knows a bunch of people that's spreading the word to your people, right? So that
Mhm.
that makes it simple too. Yeah. So I can't tell. It says Facebook user. What are the newsletters about? So what do you guys write about? It's really what's the purpose? So the purpose is to stay in front of people. Using the simple success formula, which is stay in front of the people talk about your work in a clear, simple way, and and repeat. But what are some of the topics that you write about that attract these yummy clients?
My last newsletter was about networking and my experience with networking and the things that I've gained from it as a business owner, why it's important to network.
Tammy, what about you? You've been writing them. You've written 12 now.
Yes. 20 actually. But I write mainly about things I'm learning or experiences that I've had, like Jenny. My recent newsletter was just about how you continue networking even when you're getting busy, because it's really tempting when you have all these clients and you think, oh, I got all this work. It's tempting to let go of some of that, but you still want to get out in front of people. So yeah, it's really just about the things that you've learned, or maybe even that you want to learn as you start digging into new software and learning how to use it. That's a good thing to put out there and let people know that you know how to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Jump on in, Cindy.
Also, anything that you run into that gives you trouble and you figure out a solution to your problem, those are good things to put out there too.
Cool. So I'm looking in the chat and I don't see, I saw a question and now I can't find it, but the question was about the done for you email newsletter system. So I actually provide 12 newsletters. So 12 articles that you put right in the newsletter so you can get your feet under you, right? Because the writing, I mean, for me, writing was the barrier. The tech part, I've even, there's literally a template, you click on it and it goes zoop. It's like Willy Wonka or something going through the time machine, and it just sucks right in. And then I teach you how to customize it with your picture, and your signature and all of those things. But yes, there are 12 articles in there while you get your feet under you, because that was a huge barrier for me. Writing was a huge barrier. Yeah. All right. So so we're talking about all the good stuff. Let's dive into what's a challenge that you've had as a VA. Like something that you didn't expect that you were going to need to do or be to have a successful business.
I've got a good one.
Oh,
Okay. Jump in, Cindy, and then we'll go to Tammy.
Okay. I did not expect how hard it was going to be to say no to taking in a client. Sometimes, when you're going job hunting, or especially even when I started my business, I was like, I just need something. I just need someone. And that's not always the best fit. And it was really hard to say, maybe this is not the client that I should be looking for. And there were a couple of times when I had to say no, and I brought it to study hall. I was like, should I do this? And your first instinct is usually the right one. If it gives you a weird feeling, just don't do it. There's plenty of other things out there, but that was hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because with scarcity mentality climbs in, and we're like, what am I doing? Am I crazy? Yeah, good for you. That's awesome. That's awesome. Tammy, what did you have on your mind?
Well, there's two things that I thought of, and the first one after Cindy was the first potential client I had was a lady that wanted to use Outlook, and I knew nothing about Outlook. and she was fairly seasoned, so she needed like specific, like somebody who was a guru, and I was not. So I had to give her to one of the other VAs, and it was like, it would have been my first client, but it was the best thing I ever did, because she was so excited and happy, thankful, basically, that I was able to help her by recommending somebody that was a better fit. So yeah, it's being able to say no to a client and knowing, okay, I'll get the next one, you know. But the second thing is training the people I know, letting them know I'm working. Just because I don't go to the office, I'm still working. So no, I can't chat on the phone with you for an hour or 15 minutes, or, you know, no, I have time that I need to be busy working. So yeah, that's been a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I remember that for sure. What about you, Jenny?
The business owner, like the mindset has definitely was challenging to go from it, because the freedom is really important, but the freedom to make the choice to work on my business rather than go do my laundry that makes a huge thing. And I think one of my biggest challenges was the mindset. It was that like you've talked about, the imposter syndrome and things like that, and getting over those and building confidence around my skills through the chicken chatter and through discussions we've had in study hall. It's changed that. So like, I come to work as the owner, and I come to work with my routine, and I come to work on my business, which is very different than, 5 months ago, where it was like, what am I supposed to do now today? That was a challenge in the beginning. Like, where do I start today? I don't have a client. How do I get a client? What do I do next? And then those sorts of things would be the most difficult, or were the most challenging for me.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Routine is really important. So Deb said she just signed up. So congratulations, Deb. Good for you. Right? Woo! Yay! That's awesome. That's awesome. Good. So I want to hear from more people that are watching. We have a bunch of people watching on different platforms. So let us know what your question is. There's no question too big or too small. It's just really about, I want you to feel confident. We talked this morning in the mindset session about the fence is, it's not a good place to sleep. It's kind of bumpy and it's hard to relax. And so, I'm all for a solid no or a solid yes. And I'd love for everyone who's watching to be in VA school, so I can help you along with the community of these wonderful people, get yourself to the place that you want to be. So please put your questions in, because this is your chance. This is your chance to hear from real, live, in the trenches virtual assistants. So while they're doing that, so if someone is thinking about being a VA and they're scared, because they think it might be the wrong thing to do. I'm trying to think about how to phrase this question. It's like I get the sense that there are people in the community, the pop-up community, and they're sort of lurking and they're watching and they're showing up a little here and there, but they're scared to bust a move because, Tammy, you're one of the people that mentioned this to me, that you were not only afraid of failing, but you were afraid of the success, because you were afraid that the success was going to change you in a way that you weren't ready for. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think the job I had as a VA, my boss was very scattered, and I spent the bulk of my time chasing him around. And I thought, how could I possibly do that for the amount of clients I need to run a business? So I was really afraid of getting too many clients and then not having control of my time. So yeah,
So how has that played out?
It's nothing like that. In fact, one of my clients just told me the other day, he he was delayed in getting me the work that needed to get started. And I said, "Oh, I'm really sorry, but I won't be able to do this tomorrow." And he said, "Well, it's your business. You're not an employee, right?" It was like he reminded me I don't have to. It was really cool to have a client remind me, like, "Hey, this is on me." So yeah, I haven't had. I'm surprised I haven't had to set up my boundaries. I thought I was going to have to really push my boundaries harder than I have, but I haven't. Up to this point, I haven't really had to do that.
Mhm.
So everybody's respected, because of the systems you gave us to to put that out there, to have the welcome letter when we sign in a client. They know what to expect already. And so, yeah, it's just a matter of following that for yourself. So
That's awesome. Cindy or Jenny, do you have something you want to say about that? About
Sure.
success, the concept of success, and does it look different? Does it feel and look different than you thought it would?
I don't know that I was necessarily afraid of success. I was definitely hoping for success. I was definitely afraid going into it. Excuse me. As a single mom, I thought, well, I could take the safe route of making sure that I've got something steady, even though it doesn't pay very much, or I could take this leap and hopefully I'll be able to make something substantial out of it. I don't regret that choice for 1 second. I was actually quite shocked at. I thought, okay, maybe I'll make a little bit of money and then get something on the side. And it was definitely not necessary. I'm so glad that I took the risk. It was a big risk. I mean, it was really scary, but I'm really glad that I did it, because if I didn't, I'd still be scrimping and saving, trying to make ends meet.
That's great. Jenny, how about you?
I was just thinking about when my friend told me about the girl, the tech VA, and she told me it was $5 a month. And I was like, there's no way I could spend that much money on a class. And she just belly laughs every time she talks about it. And it's like 3 months later and I'm spending $100 and whatever a month, joining your school. And it was just like, and my business was paying for it. Which was the crazy thing. And my business paid for the conference. It paid for the hotel. It paid for the flight. And that is a really good feeling. It's a really good feeling to know that, like, building something that isn't, it's not even about the profitability. It's just that I'm doing something that is producing something, which makes me feel good. I don't know that I'm scared of success. I have a plan, as part of my long-term plan of what to do when I have too many hours, or it's another reason why we have such a big community, to hand off work when we need help and whatnot. But that's what I think of every time when is just that $5. Like, it was such a big deal and it was so much money. And I've, walked through that fear and did it. And now I'm doing more things. That's pretty cool.
That is cool. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you pay for your hotel, your airfare, the conference fees, your food, all the things. That is really rewarding, isn't it? Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah. So there's a question. So Lisa's asking a question, and I'm going to change the question a little bit. So I think we'll get to the same result. And if we don't, Lisa, let us know. But can you each talk about, what is your day like? Like, how does work come in? How do clients communicate with you? What's the flow? Because I think when you have a job, it's really, you show up, you sit at your desk, and there's a stack of stuff, and you just start doing it. And then the boss walks over and changes everything. It's like, stop doing that, do this, you know? So how does that work? How do your clients communicate? What does it feel like to be a VA? And, you know, and how do you structure your day to have the billable hours so that you have the money coming in? Who wants to go first?
I have
Jenny?
I have clients who do 5 hours a month. I do have clients that do 20 hours a week. So it varies day to day. I have one client that is consistent every single day. I've got a routine of tasks that need to be completed for the business. And then when I don't have client work outside of what he's doing, then I'm working on my newsletter, or I'm working on a social media post, or I'm working on getting together with another VA or doing some networking, touching base with people on my newsletter list, things like that. My clients generally will email me or text me depending upon the client and the type of work. I do Etsy listings, and she texts me one listing, and then another, and then I'll put those in and just say done. And that's one amazing thing I love about being a VA too, is that everything is very individualized. You don't have the same thing going into every client. It's very much based on the needs of the client, and how I can support them in that.
That's great. Who wants to go next?
Okay. For me, I'll say I put more pressure on myself than my clients do. My very first client, it was a big job. They had let their books go for over a year. But the thing was, he was so grateful to have me that he was not breathing down my neck. So, but it was a long job, and everything revolved around that at that point. But I still kept up with my newsletter, and I did all that stuff. So I was still in control of how much time I spent. So honestly, every client I've had so far, they ask me if I have time before they let me know what their deadline is and make sure that I'm available. So I haven't had any of the fears that I had up front about them dictating how I was going to spend my day. None of it has come to fruition. So, and then I have clients that you think they're getting all ready to start. And then like the one client I had, I was doing a big project last week, and the one that Jen was helping me with, I sent some stuff off, and now I'm waiting to hear back from him. So I'm working on I have 2 other clients that have ongoing projects that we're just piecing together. So I just get to work on them while I'm waiting to hear from him and work on my stuff. So hope that's clear enough.
Oh yeah, totally. No, that's really great. Cindy, why don't you jump in?
As far as the way my clients send work, it's very individualized to each client. I'm really flexible, however they feel comfortable messaging me. So some of them email, some of them use Facebook Messenger, some of them send me voice messages on text. However they want to get the stuff to me. They're all very respectful of my time. My phone is never blowing up. I do have some set tasks. Like there's one client that I do a lot with their social media, and so we set up a shared document where we add in ideas and tweak whatever we're going to post, and we keep track of things that way. And then we don't even need to message each other. But then the other ones, might send me a voice text and say, "Hey, I've got this project for you. Can you throw something like this together?" And then I usually email it to them. So it's really flexible, but it works for them and keeps them relaxed. And then it also works for me because I can just separate it all. And here's what we're working on now.
Yeah.
you know.
Mm-hmm. It is so much kindler and gentler than a lot of people fear that it's going to be. You know,
Mhm.
they're just thinking this is going to be really bad and I'm going to be in charge of it. So that's great. That's really great. So I'm just looking in the chat and see if there's any. Oh, so Lisa wants to know what your businesses are called. So each one of you tell us what your business is called. So Cindy, what's yours called?
Lightning Admin VA.
Love that. Jenny?
Virtual Assistants by Jenny.
Mm-hmm. And Tammy?
Blue Butterfly Solutions.
Love that. Good. All right. So we're gone in terms of questions, you guys. Put them in the chat if you want us to answer them. And, so I think I'm just going to give you guys a chance to, give some advice to the people who are watching, any parting words about virtual assistants as an industry, VA school in terms of how it helped you, and how, I guess really how your life is going according to, I'm trying to figure out how to say this, my life when I started being a virtual assistant became so different. And because for me, I was in charge of my time. I was in charge of the money. I got to decide how much I wanted to earn, which still sounds like, I can't believe I'm saying that out loud. Like, really? I got to decide? I did. So I guess the question is, do you have any final words for the people who are watching? And here we go. Here's the question. What's your favorite thing about being a VA? What's your very favorite thing?
I'll go.
Okay.
I think that for me, it's the personal growth that I experienced. When I first came into VA school, I was timid and worried and, just, I hope this works. Maybe I can do this. And just not only through VA school, but even beyond. And, I definitely joined the VIP club because I love having that group of people around me. And my confidence has shot through the roof. I'm a completely different person than I was a year ago. And I think that also gives me the confidence to know that the clients that I have they're valuable to me and I'm valuable to them. And any other clients that come along, I know that I can provide value. I wasn't sure about that when I first started.
Yeah.
That's a great point. And I know a lot of people struggle with that. Like, what do I have to give them? What do I have to give them? Yeah. Jenny, why don't you jump in? Thank you, Cindy.
I mean, I could say everything Cindy just said verbatim. My confidence, my self-image, it's completely different than before. And then I had something else in my head, and I'm trying to remember what I was thinking. There's too many things to say. Like, I just love this life. Like, I didn't know that I would love it this much. But the community is probably another part of it that is, I trust the people in my VA school. I lean on them. I let them lean on me. And that's really important, especially working at home where you can, hermit yourself. And the chicken chatter can really do some harm. And having a community backing you is extremely helpful in this process.
Awesome. Yeah, we don't have to be alone. That's, that's the thing. We can be introverts alone or together. Some of us are introverts, but yeah. So Tammy, what about you?
Yeah, I'd have to say what both of them said, and yeah, not being alone, not having to do it alone. And I just love the freedom of it, being able to design. You choose, work as much or as little as you choose. And I can work from wherever I want to work. I don't have to stay at home if I don't want to. I can go to So yeah, it's awesome.
That's great. That's great. So this will be our last question. So Lisa's asking, and I love this question. What's one bit of advice you would do differently at starting out in VA school? So it's day one of VA school, but you already know everything that you know now. What would you do differently?
I would.
It would have. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would have started writing my own newsletters first. I would have saved my newsletters for the end.
Why is that?
Like, that's the biggest one. Sorry, my daughter just came in with her report card. The joy of being a virtual assistant.
That's right. Hello.
Hi. So say hi. Because it's more of a what's the word? Safety net. That's what I wish I used them for, but I didn't have that confidence in writing when I first came into VA school. So for me, like, that's what was necessary, and now I'm doing it. But if you have any capacity to write or think, use them as a safety net, so that when you get sick or your kids get sick, you have something to roll out. And that is the important. That was the advice I would give.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Tammy.
Wow. What I would do differently is talk to everybody I know instead of waiting. I was terrified to talk to people in different places because I didn't want to sell to them. And when I finally got a hold of the fact that I just needed to tell people, I thought they knew what I was doing, but I wasn't talking enough and telling enough. So I would not be afraid to tell everybody again and again what I'm doing, because people don't hear. They're wrapped up, they have things going on. And so unless somebody says to you, okay, I'm tired of hearing it, just keep talking.
That's great. That's great. I love that. I love that. That is really good advice. Cindy, what about you?
I think I would have been bolder sooner. I would have jumped into things that made me talk more. I would have jumped into networking sooner. And when I first started in with networking, it was all about, maybe this could be a client. Maybe I'll talk to this person because they might be a client. And I wish I would have just been bolder and just talked to people. Because those were the best connections that I've made. And that's where my referrals have come from, people that I've met, not just networking, but, like not just online networking, but networking around the people that I know. If I had started talking sooner and more just to make the connection rather than to find clients, I think I would have gotten off the ground a lot quicker. And that's saying something, because I got off the ground pretty quick.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? So that is really insightful. So we think that by looking for clients, we're going to get clients, but when we relax and we just tell people about what we're doing and spread the word, we get more clients. It's counterintuitive, right? But it's totally true. Yeah, that's great. Wow. All right. Well, thank you for this. This has been spectacular. Your insights are amazing. I know that we had a lot of people here watching. I'm sure the replay is going to blow up. So thank you so much for your insights and for your time and your thoughtfulness and for sharing your hearts. That's really what this comes down to, is helping, helping people who are trying to figure out what's next. Is this for them? That's the goal for today. So I hope everyone who's watching has been as inspired as I have. I'm available for questions if you'd like to get in touch with me. My phone number is everywhere, but I'll just put it up really quickly. Shoot me a text or a WhatsApp, and I'm happy to jump on a Zoom or a call with you to talk about if VA school is for you. Again, I've said this 3 times, but I actually think it's kind of funny. Sleeping on a fence is difficult. So don't sleep on the fence. Make a decision, yes or no, if this is for you, and then figure out how to make it happen, because I would love, love, love to help you. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.